Hi, I'm Linda with No Frills ASMR. I was thinking we could just take a look at this Cooks Illustrated from November, December of 2012, and just see what they have in their December kind of issue, just for fun. I just finished putting together the Lego Christmas tree, which is too large to have in my camera preview. Maybe I could take the top off. There we go. And it'll just be like a little mini tree. Okay. So let's see. What do we have in this issue? Pepper crusted beef tenderloin, the science of peppercorns. Well, they're good for you, I believe, in moderation. Turkey on the grill. I sometimes put a turkey like tenderloin on the grill. Updating shepherd's pie, less work, better pie. Top 20 ways to save time in the kitchen. Testing pepper mills, does $100 buy a better one? Best vegetarian chili, finding meaty flavor. I make a pretty mean vegetarian chili when I want to, but lately I've been putting ground turkey in. Tasting cocoa powders. Okay, let's see what we got. All right, hold on. You're gonna have to move out of the way, Christmas tree. So they have the letter to the editor there. Notes from readers. Miracle scallions. A friend told me that if you store cut scallions in a glass of water, they will grow back. Is that true? Yes, and I just take the little cuts, and I have a planter right outside my kitchen, and I just stick them in there, and then they grow, and you can cut the tops off them. Intrigue, we trimmed 3 bunches of scallions to about 3 inches, put in 2 inches of tap water. Happily surprised that they grew back quickly. Yeah, that shouldn't be a surprise, really, should it? It's a root. It's plain. Hot or cold water for stock? Well, they say when you make pasta, just start with cold water and then bring it to a boil. I believe the reason for that I have read in the past is that your pipes on the hot water tend to pick up more minerals, and that will flavor the pasta. I don't know if I really believe it, guys. I don't know. Why do some recipes for chicken stock start with cold water and others with boiling water? Does the temperature really matter? Okay, something a little different. To find out, we prepared a recipe for simple chicken stock both ways, adding 4 quarts of either cold tap or boiling to raw chicken pieces. Tasters noted the cold water start sample was more transparent, while the stock made with boiling water was slightly cloudy. As for flavor, tasters couldn't detect any significant difference. I recently spotted real buttermilk at my supermarket. How is this different from buttermilk that I usually see? In the old days, buttermilk was simply the liquid left behind after cream was churned into butter. As unpasteurized cream sat ripening for a few days before churning, naturally occurring bacteria caused it to ferment by converting milk sugars into lactic acid, which made the resulting buttermilk mildly sour and slightly thickened. Yeah, a lot of people think buttermilk is like high fat, but I think actually, because the fat's all in the butter, it's not. And if it's fermented with that lactic acid, that's why if you like marinate your chicken in it before you fry it, buttermilk chicken, the lactic acid breaks down the proteins a little bit and makes it really tender. I believe but like the new buttermilks that are just kind of treated, they don't work the same. But since virtually all milk and cream is now pasteurized at high temperatures, a process that kills off those bacteria, most buttermilk sold today is cultured buttermilk, made by reintroducing lactic acid bacteria to pasteurize skim or low-fat milk. Yeah. Few commercial manufacturers today sell buttermilk that's truly a byproduct of the butter making process. And the only one we found locally was Kate's Real Buttermilk. Even Kate's, though, is made by adding bacterial culture, since it's butter churned from pasteurized cream. Interesting. All right. Okay, prepping apples in advance. Will it affect the quality of the filling if I cut apples the day before I assemble an apple dessert? I think it will. Cutting damages the cells of apples, allowing enzymes and compounds stored separately within each cell to mix with one another. And with the oxygen in the air, creating brown-colored pigments. The bottom line, if you're going to cook apples, it's fine to prep them a day or two in advance. There you go. All right. Aerating white wine. Whatever, I don't know. What do they say? Our conclusion, without the harsh tannins that make some young reds hard to drink, white wines don't benefit from aeration, and white wine aerators are nothing more than a gimmick. Look, strange looking scallops. I recently cooked scallops, and one of them was pinkish. Yeah, I've had that before. They say coral-colored female scallops taste slightly sweeter and richer than white male scallops. Yeah. I cooked scallops recently, had a pink one, and it was yummy. So that's a female. Resting citrus juice for cooking. Strong coffee made drinkable. I saw a recipe for coffee that called for adding eggshells to the ground coffee before brewing. What is the purpose? Wow, I've never even heard of that, actually. I have put a little baking soda. If I get a coffee that's like super acidic, you know, sometimes you're like, I can't even drink it. I put a little baking soda in the grounds, or you can put a little salt in the grounds, and it'll kind of cut that. What are the eggshells? We wondered if eggshells could be used to extract bitter compounds from coffee that accidentally turned out too strong, so we purposely brewed a batch for too long, lightly crushed an eggshell, and stirred it into the potent coffee, and then strained out the shell. Indeed, this quick treatment produced a milder cup. The tradition of adding, I'm reading backwards, of adding eggshells to brew is linked with so-called cowboy or campfire coffee, which is made by boiling ground coffee in water. I have made that before, and it is kind of a heady cup of coffee. Since the resulting drink can taste acidic, bitter, and too strong due to high heat, which releases tannic acids, and extended contact between the coffee and the water, some campfire cooks add a crumbled eggshell to the mix in hopes of tempering the sharp flavors. The practice makes a lot of sense. They're composed of calcium carbonate, a fairly alkaline material. Wow, I've never heard that before. Huh. That's interesting. I kind of like that idea. I wonder how many times they work. You know what I mean? Like if you did like an extra layer of coffee, what is the word? I'm like filter, and had one with shells, and then you take the grounds off but leave the shells. Like how many times? Anyway, whatever. A piece of cake. This tool makes portioning and serving cake. Yeah, I see these at estate sales a lot, and I remember at first going, what is that? And then I realized, oh, that's for cake. You put it in, take a piece of cake out. I've never bought one because I could just see it in the drawer, like catching on other things. I was like, quick tips. Pick up with chopsticks, using chopsticks to get an eggshell. That's pretty cool. Thinking outside the wine box. Instead of discarding her box, she uses it to keep extra plastic bags in. That's kind of smart. Make your own cake decorating comb. Trim the long side with a pair of pinking shears. I have a clean credit card. All you need are pinking shears. I don't know that everybody has those. A hot potato trick. Many potatoes recipes call for processing hot peeled potatoes through a ricer. Realized you could save a step in their fingers by ricing the spud skin on. And then you clean the skin. Okay, I don't do all that. Thumbs up cookie shaping. Oh, she's using a wine cork to put the little holes in the like thumbprint cookies. Okay, I like that because you know how you want like that perfect round. So if you had a clean wine cork, you could put the holes in your thumbprint cookies. I like that idea. A slick new use for olive oil tin. Do they still make olive? I guess they do. Yeah, they do. They're using it to hold all their, kitchen stuff. Stopping splashes. Yes, tell me. An immersion blender creates a one-pot solution for pureeing ingredients into smooth soups. Yeah, and then as soon as you do it, the soup starts to bubble, and it's crazy dangerous. So tell me everything. However, unlike a traditional blender with an airtight top, the handy tool is a little more than a stick with a blade, and the hot contents can splatter out when in use. I don't have that issue. You need a deeper pot. Ruth Terabushnell of Petoskey, Michigan, cuts a hole in a disposable aluminum pan, inverts the top of the pot, and inserts the immersion blender into the hole. Well, part of why it, if you put it, they're making it sound like it's easy to put hot soup in a blender, but that's freaking dangerous. When you put hot soup in a blender, even if it's only like a little bit full and your blender is this big, and you put the lid on there, it will explode and burn the heck out of you. So be very careful if you ever do that. This seems to me like you're going to create like a little bit, I don't know, in her hands there. I don't like it. I don't like it. But the issue I have is after blending my soup a little bit, it bubbles up. You have to like stir it because it's put air into there and those go. Anyway, easy mince ginger. Mincing large quantities of fibrous ginger can be a chore. Yes, 100%. I just buy the little frozen cubes. Freezing the peeled root before mincing helps. Okay, they're freezing and then putting it in a grater. Pop Secret seasoning. Oh, yeah, I've done this before. Instead of just using regular salt on your popcorn, you grind it in like a coffee grinder so it's ultra fine. I did do that once, but I don't remember why. I didn't end up really loving it that much. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't know how to store it or something. I don't know. I don't remember. A pie measuring method. Creating under the cabinet storage. Attach 2 wooden napkin holders spaced as far apart as their longest cutting board to the underside of an upper cabinet. I kind of like that idea, actually. So she has 2, napkin holders that would go this way that you put napkins in. They're wood, probably. She's attached them to her cabinet, and then she can slide her cutting board in. I like it that way. After you wash your cutting board, you could put it in there to dry, I like it. Flattening out parchment paper. It curls into a scroll. I just turn it upside down. Lightly crumple the sheet and unfold it. Yeah, okay. Containing lids. And I have a drawer. I put mine in a drawer so they all lay flat. All right, what have we here? Classic roast turkey on the grill. Oh, they're doing a whole turkey. Nah. I know a lot of people do that. That just seems like, I don't know. I just cook in the oven. Pepper crusted beef tenderloin. Yum. Tenderloin with crunchy peppercorn crust sounds ideal, but not when it cracks off the roast, yeah, or has flavor so spicy that it overpowers the beef, yeah. I've made it before where it's like I put rosemary and thyme and pepper, and it looked beautiful, and when you cut it, it kind of cracked off. I have had that happen. Get out of the way. Manipulating pepper's heat and flavor. Yeah, if you cook black pepper, for a while, it mellows it out. Add back lemonine, pinene, and sevenine. What? What are the words we're using? For a crust that was satisfyingly crunchy, we needed to use so much cracked pepper that its spiciness overwhelmed the mild flavor of the meat. Simmering the peppercorns in oil before applying them to the roast tamed their heat by pulling out an oil-soluble compound known as pepperine. Unfortunately, this treatment also dulled the pepper's flavor by drawing out 3 other oil-soluble compounds, limonene, saponine, and pinene. I don't know these words. That together are largely responsible for creating the citrusy, piney notes that give pepper its depth. To restore complexity to our lackluster pepper, we scanned databases used by perfumist and flavorist to identify aromatic ingredients that might share those dominant flavor compounds. We zeroed in on orange zest, nutmeg. The orange zest is the limonene, and the nutmeg is pinene and saponine. By adding these ingredients to the oil-simmered peppercorns, we created a citrus that was not too spicy, but still full of distinct pepper flavor. Wow. Hey, that's wild. So they did salt, sugar, baking soda, olive oil, peppercorns, orange zest, nutmeg, and whole beef tenderloin. Wow. Interesting. Very interesting. And then peppercorn mixture. I don't know. It doesn't look like it's just putting it on there, I think. Maybe for Christmas I'll make a beef tenderloin. I don't know. I'm not sure. Updating shepherd's pie. My husband likes a shepherd's pie, but I make mine not traditional because I don't eat lamb. I don't eat any baby animals. I don't like it. I don't eat veal. I don't eat lamb. But, and I might. So I use either a mushroom and lentils or turkey. Maybe ground beef if I'm in the mood for ground beef. Oh yeah, or stew meat. Sometimes I'll do that. Swap ground beef for stew meat. Brown vegetables, not the meat. Lighten up the mashed potatoes. Less butter and milk instead of half and half. Yeah, well, I just use that instead. So, but when I make it, it's pretty good. Roasted root vegetables. Celery root, carrots, parsnips, whole shallots, and turnip chunks. These are some things I don't use very often. Turnips. Like when I used to get a, what do you call it? Like a community CSA, they're called. Community Sustained Agriculture, is that what it is? And you'd get a bag of local produce. We actually had a neighbor who had it on her porch, and we'd order a large one, and then kind of everybody takes what they want, which worked for me because most of my neighbors don't cook very much, so they just took a couple things, and all the root vegetables and mushrooms and stuff like that, none of them wanted, so I got tons of it. So I could make all kinds of this stuff. But I stopped doing that just because, well, I don't know why, actually. Our neighbor stopped getting it to her house, I guess. The best vegetarian chili. Heat and beans, beefing it up. I bet they add soy sauce and mushrooms. Add a lot of umami too. Umami is like the flavor you get from meat. And if you add that to your vegetarian dishes, it will help the flavor for people who are non-vegetarian. What did they say they add for beefing it up? In addition, I'd come across vegetarian that call for nuts, seeds, or grains. Although I do add some farro sometimes to my vegetarian chili just to give it like a little extra. They talk about pearl barley too gummy. Yeah, I agree. I had a few dollops of unami packed tomato paste, as well as a few tablespoons of soy sauce. Yep. But I would do oh yeah, here they are. I simply tossed in chopped dried shiitake mushrooms. See, I don't like dried mushrooms. I feel like the flavor's too in my face. So I just use fresh shiitake and other mushrooms. And if you have people who are like, I don't like mushrooms, don't put the beans in, or at least just put some beans in and keep some beans out. And then use your immersion blender after you've cooked it for a while with the mushrooms and the tomatoes and the spices and the onions and the peppers, and immersion blend it so they don't know the mushrooms are there. And then put back in like beans and some peppers so it looks like chili, but they don't know the mushrooms are in there. Sneaky, but then it tastes unami. So what do they have in there? Beans, ancho chilies, New Mexico chilies, dried shiitake mushrooms, oregano, walnuts. Ugh, I don't know about that. Diced tomatoes, tomato paste, jalapenos, garlic, soy, vegetable oil, onions, cumin, water, bulgur, and cilantro. That's kind of similar. I don't do walnuts because I actually have a little bit of an allergy to walnuts, but I do farro. I haven't been using tomato paste much lately, actually. I just don't have any around. Anyway, okay. The Smart Kitchen. Proofing bread dough. Chilling white wine. Wrap the bottle in a wet kitchen towel and place it in the freezer. Just don't forget. Well, that's more with beer. You know you forget. Anyway. Softening butter. Cutting butter into cubes is one way to hasten softening, but this trick is even faster. Place the cold butter in a plastic bag and use a rolling pin to pound it to the desired consistency in a matter of seconds. My only problem with this is I'm trying not to use much plastic. I'm cutting way back on plastic, so I would hate to use the bag. But I think you could probably do this by, excuse me, that was just my throat, putting it on a cutting board and probably just banging it. I don't know. Or I don't know what you could use. Anyway, maybe, I don't know. Boiling water. Speed the tedious process of boiling water. It's not that bad. By dividing the water into 2 pots. I have to say, my stove, it's a 1954 electric stove. It boils water pretty quickly. Ripening rock hard fruit. Just store it in a brown paper bag with ripe fruit. Okay. Aerating red wine, cooling pastry cream, cooking brown rice. You know, I've been doing this thing where I cook my brown rice for 5 minutes. And then I drain it and rinse it. And then I cook it the rest of the way. Because my husband's gotten paranoid about there being arsenic in rice. And he read that work, so I was like, fine, whatever, okay. So I do that. But he still really doesn't eat it. I don't know. Mental. chopping celery, cleaning a spice grinder, scrubbing a blender, seeding tomatoes, peeling hard-cooked eggs. Oh yeah, they serve going like that and smashing them. Brew morning coffee. Pre-measure ground coffee into individual coffee filters, then stack the coffee-filled filters back into the empty coffee can. Sorry, let me just snort. That's like, what is the point of that? Just scoop the coffee. It takes all of a second. Baked eggs won't be flawless without help from a second element, savory spinach liner. You know, whenever I've tried to bake eggs in the oven, they turn out, I don't like it. I don't know. Crispy potato latkes. I don't know. I've never actually made them, but I've bought the frozen ones, and they're pretty tasty. They're just put like a little sour cream and applesauce. Introducing dacois. How do you say it? Dacois? I don't know. They make it on Great British Bake Off. Well, I guess I've had it like on buffets, you know. I don't know. They say more ganache, easier buttercream, lighter meringue. Looks pretty. Rethinking biscotti. Italians like these cookies dry and hard, while Americans' version are buttery and more tender. Is that true? I feel like they're always dry and hard. We wanted something in between that is crisp, but not tooth-shattering. Well, you dip them in stuff, guys. I like an occasional biscotti to dip in my coffee or red wine. If you get the, like, anise, how do you say it? Anise flavor? It's like licorice almost. And dip it in red wine. That's pretty good. Or, like, pistachio. Ooh. I bet that would be good too. Anise. I don't know. I think because I grew up with a Southern mom and then I'm from Detroit, some words I don't know if it's like the Southern pronunciation. I'm not sure. In search of the perfect pepper mill. Okay. Rating pepper mills. They're highly recommended. Cole and Mason. Now this is of course from 20 years ago. Gourmet precision pepper mill, $40. Whew. They say grind quality 3-star, easy use 3-star, fine grind speed. Okay. Recommended is a $75 Peugeot Daman. You select. I don't know. Wow. I've never spent so much on a pepper mill. You know, the last pepper mill I had actually was well, first when I worked at Red Lobster, they had the big wooden ones, and one time they switched them out and so we could take home the big ones, and I don't know what happened to that was a good pepper mill. But I bought at Costco these plastic ones, and they had a salt and a pepper, and so I was using those regularly, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Well, one day I was using the salt, I think on popcorn, and I realized there were all these black dots in my popcorn. And I was like, what? So I took the pepper mill, and it was a black plastic mechanism on the bottom, and it was grinding the plastic up. So there was just black plastic all over. And then I realized with the pepper, I can't see that. So I threw them both away, and I have not used one since. But so get a metal is what I'm telling you. Don't buy those plastic ones. Supermarket cocoa powder. Now, this is 20 years ago, and now there are all these reports. So before you buy cocoa powder, you might, if you eat it a lot, if it's an occasional thing, don't worry about it. But like I put it in my smoothie. And so some cocoa powders have like mercury or cadmium. What is it? It's cadmium. Anyway, they have like kind of questionable things in there. So research your cocoa powder before you buy it. But this is back 20 years ago. So they recommended Hershey's natural cocoa. and recommended with reservations. Huh. And roast, I've never heard of that. Hershey Special Dark. This is before there were as many, choices as we have now. Special occasion cocoa. Calibut. You had to mail order that. Kitchen notes. How to carve a turkey. I can tear a turkey apart in 2 minutes flat. Slice through the skin between the breast and leg. Pull away the breast until the joint that connects them is exposed. Cut through the joint and any attached skin. Cut, and then cut off the wings. Cut the breast, and then cut the breast that way. Yep. Cracking down peppercorns. Preventing soggy salads. Okay, that's not that interesting. They're just saying that the vinegar in salad dressings breaks through. Like, you can wash your salad with water and it'll stay crisp. But as soon as you put a vinegar dressing on it, that's what breaks it down. Okay, giving kale a rub down. Salting turkey. How long is long enough? Time is a determining factor in how far salt penetrates into meat. In the breast, treat it for only 1 hour. You got that much. 12 hours. 24 hours, pretty good. 48 hours, now we're talking. A lot of turkey breasts you buy in the store are pre-marinated, so you can kind of read it and see if it is or not. If you buy like an like fresh, unmarinated, I don't know what to say, like Butterball, they inject it. Some of them are injected. But then you might want to do this brining situation. But if you have one that's injected with all kinds of stuff, you don't really need to worry about it. Properly melted chocolate for dipping. Yum. Make ahead pâte à choux. Little choux pastries. Okay. Parchment cooking bags. I've never used one of those. I use parchment, but not a cooking bag. Stovetop smoker. I don't like smoked stuff very much. Ultimate turkey rack. Boil over devices. I could use one of those. I used to have, my mom had when we were growing up, a screen. It was like a screen with a handle on it, and you could put it over food when the oils start popping a little bit, when you're sauteing and it gets all over your stove. I kind of wish I had one of those, because sometimes I'll cook like chicken or steak or whatever in a skillet, and it's like getting stuff all over my stove. I'm like, oh man, I just cleaned that. Whiskey stones. Yeah, this is like the beginning of when whiskey stones were all the rage. Everybody wanted the stone, and then they said the ball was better, and you had to have a whiskey ball and whatever. I don't know. All right, well, there we go. All right, guys, I will talk to you soon. What do we have here on the back? Date nut rolls, Turkish delight, tamarind candy, pâtes de fruits, orangettes, cordial cherries. That's my sister's favorite. I don't like them very much. Cocada, Melbon, chocolate covered dried figs. Huh. I wonder how that is. Haw flakes. What is a haw flake? Fruit confections. I can tell you that I have had that. I actually do think I had that. I was in Turkey one time. I think I may have tried some tamarind candy. That was the only time. I've had those, but I don't think I've ever had that. I don't know what that is. If that's just like a